guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good weekend and you're ready to get into another week of school. We're going to start with our grammar on page 308 today. So if you'll take your grammar books, turn to page 308. We're going to talk about sentence structure. As you can see on your screen, sentence structure today. Isn't that a lovely little scene? Don't you kind of wish you were there right now? Well, few more weeks hopefully, and we'll be able to do some vacation time. But let's look at sentence structure today. So page 308, let's first of all remind ourselves of a couple of things. A clause, right? A clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. Remember, that's how it is different from a phrase. A phrase is a group of words that does not have a subject and verb. Remember, we have two types of clauses. We have an independent clause, which is just like it sounds. It's independent. It can stand on its own. It has a complete thought all by itself. And then we have dependent clauses. Remember, those ones are not a complete thought. They can't stand by themselves. Those are our noun clauses, adjective clauses, adverb clauses. They need those introductory words, right? We have to keep all that stuff in mind in order to be able to understand sentence structure, okay? We're going to look at two types of sentences today, the simple sentence and the compound sentence, okay? A simple sentence is simply one independent clause. That's it. There are no dependent clauses, okay? So you won't have any relative pronouns introducing a noun clause, or you won't have any subordinated conjunctions introducing an adverb clause. You won't have that in a simple sentence. Now, you can still have more than one subject. You can have a compound subject, like Tom and John went to the store. Okay, I have two subjects, but it's still a simple sentence because it's just one independent clause. I can have two verbs, okay, and it would still be a simple sentence. It just has an independent clause, no dependent clauses, okay? A compound sentence, though, a compound sentence has two or more, could have more than two, but at least two independent clauses, but still zero, no dependent clauses. So there are still no relative pronouns introducing noun clauses or adjective clauses, no subordinating conjunctions introducing adverb clauses, okay? But in order for a sentence to be compound, in order for it to have two or more independent clauses, you must have a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Now I just put and there because that's the most common one, but it could also be but, for, nor, yet, okay? With a comma. So a compound sentence must have a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon. Remember, a semicolon can take the place of a comma and conjunction. So if you don't have one of those two things, you don't have a compound sentence, okay? That'll make it simple, kind of narrow it down for you, all right? So let's look at exercise A, okay? Now, when you find this comma and conjunction, or semicolon, what you need to do is look to double check, make sure that there is a subject and a verb on both sides, because you can't have a comma and if you're just making a list. Like if I said John, Brad, and Tim went to the store, I would have a comma and in there, right? But it wouldn't be joining two independent clauses. It's just in a list, okay? So you have to double check that. All right, so in exercise A, we're going to look for the comma and the conjunction or the semicolon, put a box around it, all right? Then after you've done that, you're going to try to find a subject and a verb on both sides of it, okay? So let's look at number one. Go ahead and put a box around your comma and but, because that is your conjunction there. Now, subject and verb on the left is I may tremble. Subject and verb on the right, rock, trembles. Good. All right. Number two, what do you put in your box around? Okay, comma, but. Subject and verb on the left is men are looking. Subject and verb on the right, God is looking. Number three, put your box around, semicolon here, right? Subject and verb, evangelism is. Subject and verb on the other side, salvation is. Good. Number four, put your box around what? Comma and. Good. Subject and verb on the left, prosperity is. Subject and verb on the other side, adversity is. Good. All right. And number five. Oh, this should sound familiar. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Remember we talked about that in literature? Taking that from Julius Caesar. All right. So you put your box around, semicolon. Good. Subject and verb on the left side is cowards die. Subject and verb on the right side is valiant, taste. Good. All right, now let's move on to exercise B. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to look for the comma and conjunction of the semicolon, put a box around it. Then you're going to look for a subject and verb. Okay. Now on this one though, that exercise A is pretty easy because we knew they were all compound. Now on this exercise B, you have to tell me whether the sentence is simple or compound. Okay. So let's look. Number 1. First thing we look for, is there anything that we need to put a box around? Do you see a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon? I do not. So I know right away, since I don't have either one of those, what kind of sentence do I have? Simple. So put an S in the blank, underline the subjects and verbs, which is Henry Hudson, Martin Frobisher, right? I have 2 subjects and my verb is soft. Good. All right, number 2, look for a comma and conjunction or a semicolon. Do you see one? Put a box around it, box around, comma, but. Okay, now let's make sure we have a subject and verb on both sides. Okay, subject and verb on the left is Magellan organized. Subject and verb on the right is he was killed. Good. So what kind of sentence do I have? Right, compound in the blank. Number 3, look for a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon. Do you see one? Box around, semicolon. Good. All right. Subject and verb on the left. Christopher Columbus was and was. Did you see that? I had Christopher Columbus was an excellent explorer, but was not a good administrator. But that did not have a comma with it because it's not joining 2 independent clauses. There isn't a subject on the other side of it, just another verb. Okay. So we have Christopher Columbus was, but was. Then our semicolon. The other side we have career ended. Good. So what kind of sentence do we have? Compound. Number 4. Do you see a comma in conjunction? Do you see a semicolon? I don't. So what kind of sentence do I have? We're going to put simple in the blank. Find the subject and verb. John Cabot came and laid. Did you get both of them? I hope you got both of them. See, I can have 2 verbs, but still have a simple sentence if it's just one independent clause, right? Number 5. Okay. Do you see a comma, conjunction, or semicolon? I do not. Simple sentence. Subject and verb. Columbus was born, sailed. Good. All right. Number 6. Look for a comma, conjunction, or semicolon. What do you see? Put a box around comma and, right? Subject and verb on this side. Conditions were. Subject and verb on the other side. Numbers plagued. Good. Number 7. Do you see a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon? I do not. Do it. All right. So simple sentence. Now find the subject and verb for me. What is my subject? Captain James Cook. What are my verbs? Actually, there's 2. Do you see them both? Discovered and mapped, right? I have 2 verbs, but it's still just one independent clause. I just have a compound verb, okay? But it's still a simple sentence because I don't have the comma and conjunction, a semicolon. I don't have 2 independent clauses, just one independent clause, okay? All right, now let's look at exercise C. Exercise C, you're doing the same thing, looking for the comma and conjunction, putting a box around it, underline your subjects and verbs. Now, in the blank, though, you are writing the formula that tells you what kind of sentence it is, okay? So you're telling me, is it subject, excuse me, sorry about that, subject and subject, verb. You're making a formula with S's and V's and your comma and conjunctions, okay? So let's look at number 1. Pumpkins, cucumbers, and squash are all members of the gourd family. Do we have a semicolon or a comma conjunction? No, we do not. Now find all of your subjects and your verb. What are your subjects? Pumpkins, cucumbers, squash, right? My verb is are, right? So in your blank, you're going to write S, S, and S, V equals, and then what kind of sentence is it? Simple, right? So my formula is S, S, and S, V equals simple because I have subject, 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 verb, simple. Number 2, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you. Do you see a comma and conjunction or semicolon? Yes. Box around, comma, but. All right, let's figure out what the formula is, okay? What are your subjects and verbs? Subject and verb on the left, ye have chosen. On the right, I have chosen and ordained. Okay, So now, write your formula. What are you putting for your formula? You should have S, V, then you should have comma but, then you should have S, V, and V, because I had two verbs there, so equals compound. Good. Number 3, Homer and Virgil were two ancient poets. You write the formula. I'll give you a second. What do you think the formula is? All right, I hope you have S and S, V equals simple. Good. Number 4, in summer, German dairy farmers use valleys for growing hay and higher lands for grazing cattle. What is your formula? All right, what'd you put? Hope you have SV equals simple. That's all you have. Subject and a verb. Farmers use. That's it. Simple sentence. Number 5, go ahead. I'm going to have you do it. Remember, look for your comma and coordinating conjunction or semicolon. Look for your subjects and verbs. Write your formula. What do you have? Subject, verb. So you should have SV, semicolon, SV equals compound. Good. Number 6, go ahead. Find your semicolon or comma conjunction. Subjects and verbs. Write the formula. What do you have? SV, semicolon, S, V, and V. We had two verbs, righteous, runneth, and is. Compound. Good job. All right, number 7, last one. What did you put for your formula? Do you have it? S and S, V equals simple. Good job. All right, that's all we're going to do on that for today. Tomorrow we'll talk about diagramming these compound sentences. So be ready tomorrow with some pencil and paper to do some diagramming, and I will see you then.